We think building a city here on Earth is tough. But imagine trying to build a whole new, self-sustaining civilization on another planet. That's easily one of the biggest engineering challenges we've ever dreamed up. And right at the heart of it all is one single, fundamental problem: power.
So let's just dive right in. The whole dream of a Martian outpost, everything from the air you'd breathe to the rovers you drive, it all hinges on answering this one question. How do you generate reliable power in one of the harshest environments we've ever tried to visit?
Okay, so before we can even talk about the cool solutions, we gotta wrap our heads around just how big this problem is. Mars isn't just a desert. It's an energy-poor world. For anyone living there, making power isn't about convenience. It's about survival, plain and simple.
And here's the deal. You can't just keep shipping batteries from Earth. Any kind of long-term settlement needs what the engineers call Earth independence. It means the colony has to stand on its own 2 feet, power-wise. It has to make its own juice, right there on Mars. And it absolutely cannot fail.
So, what's the first thing you think of for power? The sun, right? Solar panels. But here's the catch. Mars is way, way farther from the sun than we are. So the sunlight that actually hits the ground there, it's pretty weak. We're talking less than half the energy we get. And that means solar panels would put out way less power than they do back home. That is a massive handicap right out of the gate.
And this is what's kicked off this huge debate that's been raging for decades among the smartest people in the room. It really boils down to 2 heavyweights in the ring, 2 totally different ways of thinking about it. On one side, you've got the familiar favorite, solar, and on the other, the tough-as-nails challenger, nuclear.
All right, let's kick things off with the one we all get right away: solar power. It just makes sense, doesn't it? It's clean, we know the tech inside and out, and hey, we've already been using it on our little rovers for ages. But, and this is a big but, is it really up to the task of powering a whole city of people? Now, the case for solar is actually really strong. First off, the panels are pretty light, and that is a huge deal when you have to rocket ship every single piece from Earth. The tech is way simpler, not a lot of complicated moving parts like a reactor. Plus, we've proven it works on Mars, and if a panel breaks, well, in theory, you can just swap it out. Seems like a no-brainer, right? But this is where Mars itself decides to play rough. It throws some absolutely brutal curveballs that solar power has to face. Just because we know the tech doesn't mean it's going to survive out there. Let's look at the dark side of relying on the sun. And when I say brutal, I mean it. We are not talking about a few cloudy days here. NASA has seen it happen. Mars gets these insane planet-wide dust storms that can rage for over 100 days. 100 days. They literally blot out the sun, and your solar power drops to basically nothing.
And if the dust doesn't get you, the cold might.
We're talking about temperatures that dive down to minus 100 degrees Celsius. That's unbelievably cold. Imagine the stress that puts on every little piece of a solar array. The cells, the wires, everything. Stuff just gets brittle and snaps when you least expect it.
This really sums it all up. One person online, KFord44, put it perfectly. They said, from all our decades of sending solar-powered machines there, we know that solar is spotty and can be completely useless during certain seasons. And you really don't want to build your life support system on something that's spotty at best.
So if we can't count on the sun, where do we turn? Well, that brings us to our second contender: nuclear fission. This is the heavy hitter, the all-weather champion that just doesn't care about dust storms. It promises to fix that one giant problem that plagues solar: reliability. In this comment from another user, Draken, just nails it. They said, if your mission site has a several months-long dust storm reducing solar power to 0, you don't want the whole crew to die. It's that simple, right? When the stakes are that high, reliability isn't just a feature, it's everything. And that is the #1 argument for nuclear.
The whole case for nuclear is built on one word: certainty. It gives you power 24/7. It doesn't care about dust storms, it doesn't care if it's night, and the energy density is just off the charts. A tiny bit of fuel creates a ton of power. Oh, and it's got this one little side effect that might just be a total game changer on Mars.
Okay, but wait a second. When you picture a nuclear reactor, you probably think of those gigantic cooling towers, right? Pumping out all that waste heat? That seems like a huge problem on Mars, where every ounce you ship costs a fortune. How in the world would you cool a reactor there?
Well, here's the crazy part. On a frozen planet like Mars, all that waste heat isn't a problem, it's a gift. As another user, C. Jurgen, pointed out, that coolant is a tremendous benefit.
You can take that heat and pipe it right into the habitats to keep people warm, or into greenhouses to grow food. Suddenly, it's not waste at all. It's a free, life-saving resource that comes with your electricity.
All right, so there you have it, our two big contenders. You've got light and simple, but kind of flaky, and you've got robust and powerful, but heavy and complicated. This is the core trade-off, right? This is the great Martian power debate in a nutshell.
Let's put them head to head. Reliability? Surviving a dust storm? Nuclear wins, hands down, no contest. But what about getting it there, or keeping it running? Solar is lighter and way easier to maintain. So that's the real pickle, isn't it? Do you bet on the lighter, simpler system that could totally fail on you? Or do you go with the heavier, more complex beast that you know will always be there?
I love this next comment because it just puts it so simply. A user named WhyNot1989 said, "Nuclear needs a dedicated team of people to oversee the operation of their reactor. Solar needs someone with a broom." And when you put it like that, it seems obvious, right? Just go with the broom.
But then you get the gut punch of a counterargument. Another user, Ambulancisto, replied with this: "I don't want to have to depend on a guy with a broom when the solar panels are the only thing keeping from dying." And yeah, when you think about it that way, when it's literally life and death, maybe betting it all on a broom isn't the best idea. The stakes are just way too high.
So, who wins the debate? Solar? Nuclear? Well, what if that's the wrong question? What if the answer isn't picking one over the other? What if the smartest move is to make them work together? Let's talk about a hybrid future.
A hybrid power system is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You just combine two or more types of power generation. The whole idea is to take the best parts of each one and mash them together, creating a system that's way more reliable and efficient than either one could ever be by itself.
And here's how that would actually work on Mars. It's a pretty brilliant setup. You'd have a nuclear reactor running 24/7, providing that steady, constant baseload power. That's where the really important stuff, life support, heat, the things you can't live without. Then, during the day, you use massive solar farms to generate extra power for all the other stuff, like charging up the rovers or running big experiments. And the best part? Each one is a backup for the other. If one goes down, you're not done. That's the ultimate safety net.
So, by playing to the strengths of both, we get the best of both worlds. A power grid that's tough, reliable, and has backups for its backups. We can finally turn the lights on and be confident they'll stay on. Which, of course, leaves us with one last, really fun question to chew on. Once you've got all the power you could ever want on Mars, what amazing thing do you build first?